Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of New Strength Sugar Babes. And we have got a sugar babe here, Jacinta. She has been in our program for just coming on 12 weeks now. She's finished her initial 12 weeks, and she's come incredibly far in 12 weeks' time. Like, I remember when I very first spoke to you, and I think you were at work, and I just remember you telling about all your issues and how hard you'd worked, and you just didn't have the body that you wanted, and the binge eating and all the other stuff, and like you'd been training like ridiculous, just smashing yourself. And I was just like, you really have, you've been an A+ client. Like, you really have. You've come in, you've applied everything, you've let go of old beliefs. You've been consistent. You haven't been perfect, but you've consistently failed forward if you've ever fucked up, and you've just, you're like, whatever, I'll just keep moving forward. And, I'm super impressed. And I honestly thought you could have gone either way. I remember getting off thinking, I was saying to Chris, like, I don't know. I think this might be too much of a big change for you.
It still is. And it's still, I think what's probably opened my eyes up the most is that the fitness industry is a wrought, and if that's the right word to use.
Totally. It is a wrought. It is a wrought. And
I think, like the last, if I take stock of myself, and when I really decided to get serious, it was just over, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, but particularly after I had Lockie, so 8 years ago, I really took stock of my health, and, I did all these various things, and then, went ahead and no disrespect to F45, but I went and did that, and I smashed it out 6 days a week, 12 months straight, sometimes double classes. And my calorie burn was phenomenal, but I was living on 1,200 calories a week. What would happen is I'd get to the weekend and I would pretty much drink a whole liquor store. I'd then binge eat on a Sunday, and then just switch back on Monday and go back to my greens and eat nothing before I trained, wonder why I felt tired in the afternoon. So this journey for me has been absolutely phenomenal. That's the best word I can describe it. And
like you're busy. Like, you've got a quite high level job where you travel, you've got kids, you're married. It's not as though you're like just sitting around at home, and you've had to make this work into your busy life. So just talk to the viewers about some of the issues that you had coming into the program and why you joined.
I think the biggest thing that attracted to me was that I'd actually get a real education around food. I'd actually learn what was carbohydrate, what was protein, what was fat, and why it was so important to have that balance throughout the day. And also to understand the total impact of alcohol and what it can do to you. The other thing is how important, and nobody's ever said this to me before, sleep is. Why I was, regardless of Lachlan, why I was waking up, and regardless of my hours, I do have a very high demanding job. I have to train, when I do train at 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's the only time I can fit it in. I travel a lot, etc. So I was tired, so I should have been sleeping right through, but I was waking up through the night. And the other thing as well is my metabolism was crap. You get really jealous about people that say they shit it every day. I'm like, really? So that's stuff you can't put price on. And when I look at my skin, and I say it all the time, my skin is amazing. And that's because I'm actually eating real food, and I'm getting full, and I'm not turning to the junk or the sugar or, that quick fix that I used to turn to and go, I'll just go and burn it off and do some bouncy shit for 45 minutes, Because
it's quite incredible. I remember you saying to me, like, oh, Kitty, I'm averaging 1,200 calories a day. I'm training 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were like, obviously, because you just binge eat, like most women, you can't sustain that. And then you binge eat on the weekend, and you just go around in these sort of like circles. Like, no wonder you were so tired.
Oh.
Like, I don't even know how you did it. Hey, like, especially with your job.
I think I just lived on, as I said, tremendous amounts of coffee and those ridiculous energy drinks as well, which are terrible for you. And, I would just shove crap in my mouth and then go and bust my ass. If I'd go and do a session in the morning, and if I'd had a few chocolates, I'd go and book myself in for a session at night time. And, at the end of the day, what did it get me? Yeah, I lost some weight, don't get me wrong, but my body composition didn't really change, and that's what's happening now. I'm now learning about that. I've talked about how I'm probably about 3 kilos heavier, but I'm fitting into clothes that I did when I was lighter. It's just, I can't believe how it works.
Yeah, it's crazy. You nailed it there too, I think, because I remember you sending me some photos and I'm like your body's changing because the weight's irrelevant, really. It's
Yeah.
about the muscle versus fat. And how many calories you're eating now consistently?
Well, so I went from 1,400 when I first came on board, and then we went to 1,700 to 1,850 and then 1,950. I've actually just dropped it back 100 just for the moment because I was feeling a bit bloated from travelling. But I'll pop that back up. It'll only take like a week or so. That's what I like about this, that I can move it around if I'm a bit bloated from being on a plane for quite a few hours and having to kind of eat on the run. And even though I'm making much better choices now, it's just not what my body's used to.
And do you feel like you just said now, like we don't do the diet, do we? You do your own diet.
No, now I've pretty much nailed it. And the best advice I'll give anyone is on My Fitness Pal, turn your phone to the side so you actually work out, what you're getting in carbs, protein and fat every meal, because that was the biggest trick for me, was learning the ratio. Once I got the ratio into my head, then I could just absolutely play around, and it's actually really cool. It's like a puzzle. And just muck around with it. But I'm a pretty simple creature, and so for me on a Sunday I meal prep. It's what gets me through the week, and my husband and I, and if he wants to eat well, then he's just got to eat what I cook. So we have the same for lunch every day. Same morning tea and afternoon tea, and we just change up breakfast and dinner. That's how it works.
And so talk about some of the foods you're eating now compared to what you used to eat.
Okay, so I hardly eat any green stuff, which is kind of neat. Like I'm living on wonderful sourdough. I'm living on, I'm having butter. Like I couldn't tell you, last 12 weeks I've been living on butter, but previously it was a low-fat margarine or whatever it might have been, or Western Star, or I remember you having a shot at me about that.
I was like, looking at that, but I'm like, what's that bloody spreadable there? I'm like, that's going to have canola oil. And I was like, get rid of that.
Yeah, I know. And so that's really neat. And what's now happened in my house is that everybody has sourdough. And so now I have to buy 3 loaves of sourdough every bloody weekend to get the whole family through it. And everybody has a bit of pate, which is, really cool, and liver's been amazing. We love fresh seafood. I just could live on fresh seafood all the time. So we eat lots of seafood. Sweet potato is common on our dinner plate, and breakfast just depends. It depends what I'm doing. Like a cookie smoothie full of different fruits with a bit of new gel in it. And I've never eaten so much fruit in my life.
I know. Yeah, crazy. What about dairy? You have your bit of dairy, bit of ice cream. You have ice cream?
My lick ice cream is phenomenal. In fact, I'm really quite glad I didn't find that 12 weeks ago, because I probably
do you know my favourite is the fig and honey? Craig's is the chocolate. Like our freezer is just stocked with those flavours.
Yeah, so that's cool that I can now put that into my, daily calorie intake, etc. But the other thing is that we actually now get to enjoy a real breakfast. So I don't feel guilty about having my bacon and eggs on my sourdough. I think it just works. So I think what is important is that now I've got the whole family on board. So I made the spinach and bacon quiche, and we have that for lunch, and we might have that with some nudie juice and some watermelon, etc. So I'm feeling so much more satisfied. I think that's the trick. And I'm not starving myself. I'm eating, good quality meals in good portion, and it keeps me full. And dairy is in there. Like I have, especially now that I'm actually eating before I train, funny how that makes a difference. So I have, pre-workout is just, 120 ml of milk. I have 50 grams of banana, a raw egg, go Rocky, and a bit of honey. And I just blitz that and have that as I'm driving to the gym. And then been having like a skinny latte every day. It's been phenomenal.
Oh, how good is it? Coffee with milk and milk. Like just having coffee with milk and sugar. Like I have it with sugar. Not everyone has it with sugar, but it's just so nice.
Oh, well, I've gone off the sweeteners completely and just have real sugar now. It's great. And do you know what though, Kitty? I think the biggest turning point for me was now understanding the effect alcohol has on my body. And I've talked about it before, that I do love my wine, and I will continue to love my wine, but I actually appreciate it so much more in moderation. And I think that's key. That I'd go out for a girls' weekend or a girls' night, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'd polish up 3 bottles of champagne. It would be nothing.
Yeah.
That
I used to be the same. I just get shit faced.
That's right.
Yeah. Whereas now I can have like 3 glasses and I'm good.
Oh, I'm a Capri girl. I'm a glass and a half. I'm the cheapest woman out there. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think, I actually quite like waking up feeling good. I actually quite like how I feel the next day when I haven't been on it, because I actually go to bed at a reasonable hour. I actually sleep better.
Yeah.
It has a big effect on my whole body and my life. And, I was really dubious about jumping on this program, particularly with the food, etc. But until you give it a go and you understand it and you do some subjective measures outside of the scales, you'll never know. And I'm really proud and really pleased that it's worked for me.
I'm proud of you too. You've been awesome. You've been a really good client.
So, you've got a great team. What you do and how you go about it is phenomenal. Your education process is amazing. And I've said this before, if you don't go and learn, and if you don't go and understand it, then you'll just continue to recycle what you've always been doing.
I love that when you wrote that post. I was like, you nailed it. You nailed it. Because we coach and guide you, we educate you and get you to apply the knowledge, and then we let you show us and we give you feedback and you try again. Because until you go through that process, and look at where you were. I remember when you first started doing your plans in MyFitnessPal and you'd struggle so badly, and now you're like a pro in 12 weeks. You have basically learned how to eat, understand your body, know how many calories you need, understand all the different foods, what you've talked about too. Obviously, you've seen some great changes in your body, like the scale weight's different, but your clothes are fitting you better. What about the other things? Because I know you had a terrible period, menstrual cycle. Talk about the other things that have improved.
So, I've been on the pill for, I'm not even over 20 years. I'm not even going to state the real number, but 20 years. And the only break I had was when I had Lachlan and when I breastfed. And so for me, I always got really bloated, always got really crampy during my period time. And it was heavy. Oh my God, really heavy. So it took me a little bit to get on this bandwagon, and I think you kicked me up the arse on a coaching call in front of 8 other women. So I thought, I better do something about this. So I got off it and got onto the PTSD, and Bo's got me on a cycle, and it's working. So we've had 2 months now, and it's been great. I was really dubious, but it's lighter. It only goes for 4 days. I don't get a headache the night before, like a throbbing headache. I'm not a moody bitch at home like I used to be. I'm sure Matt might disagree with me sometimes, but and I don't get that big bloated feeling either, which is really cool.
It's amazing, hey. It actually still amazes me, how quickly your body can be healed by food if you do this consistently. You've been taking the pill for 20 years, you've been flogging yourself, you've been drinking heaps of piss, and within 12 weeks, your period is normal and regular and pain-free. It just shows that the food heals your body and getting the right nutrients into it in the right amounts. And I remember Alicia posted yesterday, she had super low iron, and then she got their blood test done and her iron's levels are back up, to normal, within normal range. And it shows. What about your sleep, digestion, mood, energy? What about them?
I just don't, it would not be unusual for me to fall asleep upright on the couch from 7:30 onwards, and Lachlan would be laying on me. And now, I've got plenty of energy. I can at least stay up till 9:30, and I make myself go to bed then, because when I'm training, I'm getting up at 4:22 to get to the gym and train. So I'm getting really good quality sleep. I'm certainly much more happier within myself to a degree, and it takes a long time for you to become really confident and love yourself. And if I think about the 10 to 15 years that I've been hard on myself, then 12 weeks is not much. I've got to cut myself a bit of a slack in that department. But I think, what is most important is that I'm pushing the scales to the side, and that I'm becoming more confident in who I am as a person. And I think that's what you teach. everybody, Kitty. You teach people to love themselves for who they are and to embrace food and embrace the change and be strong. That's what's good.
Ah, well, that's so nice. I've never heard anyone say it like that before. I'm like, you just really summarized it so beautifully. Who doesn't like to eat real fucking food and lift heavy shit, you know? Like, it just makes you so much happier. It's just eating food, like normal food again, I think just makes you so much happier.
What's really cool for me is that now when I travel, I'm actually making much better choices, and I'm thinking about that now. In the past, I'd just make a choice and go, it doesn't matter, I'm going to the gym tomorrow and I'll just burn off. Well, no, I'm not doing that now, and I'm getting the rewards for it. I think that's what's most important. Yeah,
totally. It's I think now, like, I agree with you. For me, it's about how will that food affect my body and make me feel. It's not about burning calories or how many calories it has. Just, do you feel free now? Like free from that food obsession? Like a bit like, you know, like before I was always so obsessed with, like I'm obsessed with food now, but it's in a good way. Like
and now I don't. I think another turning point was I can now walk through a food court and just not look, because that's what happened, because I'd smell all those foods and
you'd be willpower. It'd be all like, now it's just like I feel so satisfied all the time.
Yeah, and because constantly now I've got in my bloody bag carrots, or I've got dates, or I've got something, you know, in my bag or in my little cooler bag or whatever, and so I just take that and off I go on my merry way.
Same. And you just feel, I think it's, people don't realise until they do this is how good you feel. And then if you ever have a day, like you've had a few days, and I've had times I've gone to weddings and I've just eaten whatever foods and I've had a few drinks, I actually feel depressed the next day. Like literally your hormones and your mood and everything. And then I come home and I eat my normal food and have a good sleep, and I'm like, I wake up and I look forward to every day. Like you've got this energy, I think, and zest. It's just so hard to describe to people.
And I think something else that really people should look at is that when you do something like this, you can really measure the reaction of food to your body. So for me, I can have rice, but I can only have it in small bouts, and particularly at lunchtime. If I have it at night time, it's going to play out with me. But that's a measure now that I've recognised. And so now I just have predominantly, you know, sweet potato or potato. Oh my God, I would never normally have that stuff in the past. Fucking amazing.
I know. Potato is like the best thing ever. How good's the air fryer? Air fryer, coconut potato chips, just like, it's so good. And what if like, say yourself today met yourself a year ago, what advice would you give her?
I think I would, first of all, be like, do you really want to go into a random bouncy shit for 45 minutes, 6 days a week, when you can go and lift for 3 days and get the same? I think I would just say, don't be fooled by what you're told. Go and do your homework. Go and explore what's out there and read some reviews. And I think about lots of different gyms and stuff that are out there and programs, etc. What's most unique about you guys is that you live what you breathe. So when you go into your gym or whatever, you guys are all on the same as us. You know, you're all walking around with your nudie juice or your chocolate milk or whatever it is. You know, I think about some of the people out there who are doing what they're doing, and they might be, you know, promoting that business or whatever it might be, but I can mark my words, they will be out behind the scenes eating more than what they say they're doing and doing way more training, because it's not sustainable, kidding. I've now experienced it, you know. 12 weeks of doing what I'm doing, you cannot get the body you want on 1,200 calories a day just by doing it.
You can't get it quickly either. Like it takes time to become a great lifter and get strong and build muscle. And yeah, no, you're right. The guys, like, you know, if I think at one point the boys were drinking like 3 liters of milk a day, like they're having a competition who could have the most milk in their diet. And yeah, absolutely. Like I'm just drinking some milk there, eating my condensed milk. You know, and I think like I'm not trying to sell super lean, and I'm not trying to sell abs or anything like that, because I just know that shit is not sustainable. And it doesn't make you happy. I've been there. Like having a healthy body fat, you know, and being strong, and like I probably sit between 20 to 22% body fat, and I'm super happy like that. Like I don't want to be leaner. I like to eat lots of food. I like to feel good and sleep well and have energy. But, you know, you don't have to get to 10% body fat to be happy.
Oh, and for me now, I just want to get my body fat down to, you know, a relatively good level.
Yeah.
And my muscle up.
Perfect.
That's what the scale does.
Totally.
I'll probably say that today, and maybe in 2 weeks' time I might step on the scale and have a spack attack. But that's okay, because I'll just push it to the side, because I'll still be fitting into my clothes. And do you know what the biggest breakthrough for me? And last weekend I got to walk into a Veronica Main store and pull a size 14 off the rack, and it fitted. I almost did a happy dance in the change room. That's what you can't put a price on.
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a fuck about the size? So I say to people, I'm like, I don't even get on the scales really anymore, or rarely do in-body scans and stuff, because I just don't care about the number. I care about how I feel in my body and my skin. And when I look at myself in the mirror, you know, am I happy with what I see? And I am, even though I'm not super lean, you know, like it's, you know, and I think you nailed it there. And some of like the biggest objections we get from women who are wanting to join the program, and you would definitely be able to comment on this one, is time. Like they're like, I'm too busy to do this. What would you say to that? Because you're ridiculously busy. Like your job's crazy. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, like she's traveling again.
Yeah, that's pretty standard in my world. And do you know what? At the end of the day, if you really want to change yourself, then you have to put yourself as number one. And that's what I decided to do. You know, I bang on about it that Sunday mornings are my meal prepping time. And, you know, if you want to catch up with me, come and sit on the other side of the bench and have a cup of coffee while I'm meal prepping, because that saves me so much time during the week.
Totally.
I just get my music on and I, you know, jive away to Taylor Swift or whatever it might be, and off I go. But my fridge is stocked for the week. It's so time saving for me because my time is precious. Meal prepping is paramount. I don't care what anybody says, and training is paramount. And if you want to change yourself, then you will put yourself as number one and make time for it.
Totally. And the other one is women like, I don't want to invest the money in this. It's funny, like Craig and I were talking about this on the car, and when I did this program with Emma Scrouskas, like I can't remember how much it was. It wasn't cheap because she's amazing. Yeah. But if I knew what this was going to do for me, I would have paid 10 grand. Like it's literally, it's so valuable to me. It changed my entire life. And I think
I just don't think that you can put that money can come into it. I understand that money can be tight for people, but if you really want to, you know, change yourself and be happy within yourself, then you can do small things. You know, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It's the same as health. It's the same. If you have to get better, then you will spend that money. Well, then put yourself first and spend the money.
Yeah, totally. And if there's a woman listening here and she's sitting on the fence, because probably you were at the start, what advice would you give to her?
You don't know till you try, and you won't regret it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And if you're a woman and you're watching this and you are stuck and you don't want to fucking do F45 6 days a week or whatever you're doing 6 days a week, you don't want to eat chicken, broccoli and rice anymore, there is a better way. So click on the link below and put in an application to work with us, and you'll get to be around awesome people like Jacinta. We have an online program, which she's done. We also have an in-gym program, which she's doing now with the 90s bloomers, as we joke about it. One of our coaches who's like 20, but amazing, Jake. They're all amazing. All the guys are amazing. And we'll get on the phone and we'll see where you are now and see where you want to be, and we'll see if we can help you. So thank you so much, Jacinta, and I'll see you on Saturday for our coffee date. Cool. With our coffee date with sugar and milk.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. I'll see you then. Bye. Bye.